They said it couldn't be done. They said some records were meant to stand forever, carved into the very ice of eternity. That's what the wise ones whispered, the grizzled veterans of hockey lore, their eyes filled with the awe of Wayne Gretzky's ghost, a spectral presence that loomed over every aspiring legend. But then, a force of nature arrived, a whirlwind born from the Siberian snows, carrying a stick like a weapon and a smile as wide as the Potomac River. From the moment Alexander the Great, Ovechkin, stepped onto NHL ice, it wasn't just a game. It was a declaration, a promise whispered on the wind, a promise of goals, of thunderous hits, of an untamed, infectious joy that redefined what a superstar could be. He didn't just play hockey. He embodied a primal scream of passion, a beautiful, chaotic symphony of power and finesse. His debut was less a beginning and more an explosion, shattering the quiet expectations of a league used to more tempered introductions. Instantly, the Capitals found their identity, not just a team, but a movement, anchored by a young man whose ambition was as boundless as the open ice itself. He was raw, he was relentless, and he brought an entirely new flavor of fear to opposing goaltenders. Every shift was a highlight reel waiting to happen, every shot a potential universe-altering event. The puck, when it left his stick, didn't just travel. It detonated, leaving a vapor trail of molten rubber and shattered dreams in its wake. Opponents quickly learned that merely being near Ovechkin was an occupational hazard, a dance with a bear that ended more often than not with them flat on their backs, gazing up at the arena lights. It was clear from day one. This wasn't just another talented player. This was a phenomenon, a seismic shift in the hockey landscape. He wasn't just scoring goals. He was making statements, etching his name onto the very fabric of the league with every thunderous shot, every improbable angle, every defiant celebration. Ovechkin famously signed a 13-year, $124 million contract in 2008, the longest and most expensive deal in NHL history at the time, committing his entire prime to one team, a testament to his loyalty and the organization's unwavering belief in their burgeoning superstar. This contract wasn't just about money. It was a pact, a solemn vow between a city hungry for glory and the man destined to lead them. It solidified his status as the cornerstone, the unbreakable foundation upon which a dynasty, or at least a monumental journey, would be built. The whispers of Gretzky's ghost were still there, but now, mixed with them, was the growing, undeniable roar of the Great Eight, a sound that promised to challenge the very foundations of hockey history. He arrived not just to play, but to conquer, and the league, whether it knew it or not, was about to become his battleground. For years, the story of Alex Ovechkin was a cruel paradox, an individual titan trapped in a team struggle. He was the undisputed king of goals, piling up Maurice Rocket Richard trophies like a dragon hoarding gold, 9 times leading the entire league in scoring. Each one was a testament to his relentless pursuit, his singular focus on that incandescent red light. Yet each trophy also felt like a hollow victory, a personal triumph overshadowed by the persistent failure of his team to advance beyond the second round of the playoffs. The narrative became almost suffocating. Incredible talent, unparalleled shot, but could he win the big one? The question hung over him like a storm cloud, growing heavier with each passing season. His trademark one-timer from the left circle became not just a shot, but a weapon of mass destruction, a nuclear-powered wrist snap that would send the puck screaming past unsuspecting goalies at velocities that defied physics. It was a shot practiced to perfection, honed through thousands of hours on the ice, but imbued with an instinctive power that could only be called magic. You knew it was coming, every goalie, every defenseman, every fan in the arena, yet it remained virtually unstoppable, a force of nature that rendered defensive strategies irrelevant. But beyond the goals, beyond the undeniable offensive brilliance, there was the physicality, the bone-jarring checks along the boards that reminded everyone that Ovechkin wasn't just a sniper. He was a freight train, a punishing presence who played every shift with a ferocity usually reserved for gladiators. He'd throw his body around with reckless abandon, absorbing and dishing out punishment, embodying the gritty spirit of old-school hockey while simultaneously innovating the modern game. This blend of artistry and brute force made him unique, a throwback and a pioneer all at once. And then there was the passion, an untamed, almost childlike joy that burst forth after every goal, every victory, every moment of triumph. His celebrations weren't choreographed. They were raw, visceral eruptions of pure, unadulterated emotion, whether it was leaping into the glass, mimicking a hot stick, or simply roaring at the heavens. This infectious enthusiasm wasn't just for show. It was a window into his soul, a testament to how deeply he felt the game, how much every shift, every shot, every victory meant to him. It connected him to the fans on a level rarely seen, transcending language and culture, making him a global icon. He was a rock star in skates, a global phenomenon who brought a primal energy to a sport often perceived as stoic. But despite all this individual glory, the question lingered, a nagging echo in the grand arenas of hockey. Could this individual brilliance translate into ultimate team success? Could the great eight finally lift the chalice that had eluded him for so long? The one trophy that truly defined a legend? The hockey world watched, waited, and wondered, year after agonizing year, as Ovechkin continued to rewrite the individual record books. It seemed destined to remain outside the inner circle of Cup champions. Then came 2018, a season that started with the familiar weight of expectation and doubt, but ended in a glorious, deafening roar that echoed through the streets of Washington, D.C. and across the entire hockey world. It wasn't just a playoff run. It was a pilgrimage, a redemption arc writ large on the biggest stage. Each series was a crucible, testing not just skill but spirit. They battled through Columbus in a grueling six-game war, then faced their perennial tormentors, the Pittsburgh Penguins, in a seismic clash that felt less like a hockey series and more like a confrontation with fate itself. The narrative was clear. The Capitals had to slay their dragon, and Ovechkin, leading the charge, played with a primal intensity rarely witnessed. He wasn't just scoring. He was willing his team forward, his eyes burning with an unshakable resolve. When the Penguins were finally vanquished, the roar of the Capital One Arena wasn't just celebration. It was an exorcism, a release of years of pent-up frustration and heartbreak. But the journey wasn't over. The Tampa Bay Lightning, a formidable offensive machine, stood in their way in the Eastern Conference Final, pushing them to 7 games. Game 7 in Tampa, a hostile environment, with the weight of decades of DC sports futility pressing down, saw Ovechkin score a crucial early goal, setting the tone for a commanding shutout victory. The joy of reaching the Stanley Cup final was palpable, but there was still one hurdle, one monumental challenge remaining. The Vegas Golden Knights, an expansion team on an improbable Cinderella run. The series was a captivating clash of narratives, the seasoned, star-studded Capitals against the scrappy underdogs. Ovechkin, however, was not to be denied. He played with an almost supernatural drive, scoring crucial goals, delivering punishing checks, and embodying the leadership he had cultivated for over a decade. He wasn't just the captain. He was the embodiment of the team's collective will. When Lars Eller finally buried the puck in Game 5, securing the Stanley Cup, the eruption of sound was deafening, a visceral wave of emotion that washed over players and fans alike. Ovechkin, at long last, hoisted the chalice, his face a mosaic of tears and pure, unadulterated ecstasy. The image of him, mouth agape in disbelief, hands clasped around the silver trophy he had chased for so long, became instantly iconic. It wasn't just a team winning a championship. It was a city finding its voice, a fan base finally experiencing the catharsis of ultimate victory. The subsequent celebrations were legendary, etched forever into the annals of sports history. Ovechkin famously went shirtless on the fountain in Georgetown, a spontaneously iconic moment that captured the city's euphoric delirium, perfectly encapsulating his raw, unfiltered joy. He paraded the cup through the streets, chugging beers, dancing with fans, turning the entire city into one massive, joyous party. It was a celebration unlike any other, a testament to the man's profound connection with his adopted home. He had not only captured the Stanley Cup, but also earned the Conn Smythe Trophy as the playoff MVP, a recognition of his unparalleled performance and leadership when it mattered most. The narrative was complete. The individual Titan had become the ultimate champion, silencing every doubter, fulfilling every dream. The ghost of past failures had been vanquished, replaced by the shimmering reality of ultimate triumph. The Stanley Cup victory in 2018 didn't mark the end of Ovechkin's story. It was merely a glorious chapter that opened the door to an even grander pursuit. With the monkey finally off his back with the ultimate team prize secured, his gaze shifted, focusing with renewed intensity on a different kind of immortality, the all-time goal-scoring record. Wayne Gretzky's 894 career goals had stood as an impregnable fortress for decades, a number so astronomical it seemed less like a record and more like a myth, a statistical Everest that no mortal player could ever hope to scale. Experts, commentators, and even fellow players dismissed the possibility outright. Untouchable, they declared. Impossible, they whispered. But Alex Ovechkin, now a champion, played with a freedom, a sense of liberation that seemed to defy the natural aging curve of an athlete. He didn't slow down. If anything, he seemed to accelerate, fueled by the sheer audacity of the challenge. His dedication became legendary, a relentless daily grind, a meticulous attention to his craft that belied his often boisterous public persona. He wasn't just chasing a record. He was engaging in a duel with history itself, a silent battle against the passage of time and the weight of statistical certainty. The Rocket Richard trophies continued to pile up even after 2018, a testament to his unparalleled consistency and enduring dominance. Each goal wasn't just a point on the scoreboard. It was a chip away at Gretzky's seemingly insurmountable total, a tiny, almost imperceptible tremor in the bedrock of hockey lore. The media began to track his progress with a fervor usually reserved for lunar landings, every milestone becoming a national event. 700 goals, then 800. Each digit clicked over, defying age, defying expectations, leaving a trail of shattered records in its wake. The world watched in stunned admiration as the Great Eight systematically dismantled what was once considered unassailable. His unique physical style, the way he absorbed punishment and kept coming, the passion that burned as brightly as ever, all contributed to an incredible longevity that few players ever achieve. He adapted, he evolved, but his core identity remained. A goal-scoring machine, utterly relentless, utterly unique. The puck still came off his stick with the force of a cannonball. His celebrations still radiated pure joy, and his presence on the ice still commanded attention, even reverence. The idea of him reaching Gretzky had transitioned from a wild fantasy to a distant possibility, then to a tangible, impending reality. The chase was no longer just his. It was a shared journey, a collective breath held across the hockey universe, all eyes fixed on a man who dared to challenge the impossible. This wasn't just about goals anymore. It was about legacy, about redefining what an athlete could achieve in an era of hyperspecialization and intense scrutiny. The countdown had begun, and the world was bracing itself for a moment that would forever reshape the game. Then in 2025 it happened. The moment that once existed only in the wildest fever dreams of hockey enthusiasts, the event that had been debated, dissected, and ultimately dismissed by generations of analysts, materialized with a thunderous roar. It wasn't just a goal. It was a seismic shift, a tear in the very fabric of sporting certainty. For decades, Wayne Gretzky's 894 goals had stood as the ultimate statistical Everest, a monument to an era, a number whispered with reverence and awe, a record so sacred felt almost untouchable, guarded by the very ghosts of hockey history. It was a barrier, a philosophical line in the sand that separated the legends from the myths. And then, Alex Ovechkin, the Great Eight, defied it. The goal itself, when it came, felt almost predestined, a cosmic alignment of years of relentless effort and an unshakable will. It was, of course, a one-timer launched from his office. The left circle, a shot so familiar, so devastatingly effective, it had become his signature, his declaration. The puck, a blur of black rubber, rocketed past the outstretched pads of the opposing goaltender, finding the back of the net with an almost defiant thwack. The red light flashed, not just signaling a score, but announcing a coronation, a passing of the torch that reverberated with the force of an earthquake. The arena erupted, a cacophony of sound that transcended mere cheering, becoming a primal scream of collective astonishment and celebration. But beneath the euphoria, there was a strange, almost unsettling sensation. It was the feeling of a long-held truth being abruptly overturned, an axiom proven false. This wasn't just a player breaking a record. It was a human being shattering a deeply ingrained belief, proving that the impossible was merely a challenge waiting for the right force to meet it. It was like watching a mountain crumble or a star falling from the sky, an event of such profound magnitude that it rearranged the celestial map. There was a faint chill in the air, a creepy echo of Gretzky's once unrivaled dominance. A ghost finally laid to rest, not through fading, but through outright, overwhelming conquest. The very idea that such a record could be broken, after existing as the pinnacle for so long, felt both exhilarating and strangely unsettling, as if the rules of the universe had momentarily bent to Ovechkin's will. It sparked existential questions about limits, about what truly constitutes an unbreakable record, and whether human will, when combined with prodigious talent and unwavering dedication, could truly conquer all. The moment was not just about the numbers. It was about the profound implication of a new era, a new benchmark, a new definition of greatness. The Great One's record had been a fortress, unbreachable for generations, but Ovechkin, the Great Eight, had found the breach, and with a single, thunderous shot, had stormed the gates, forever etching his name not just in history, but at the very pinnacle of it. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated awe, a testament to what happens when relentless ambition meets legendary talent. And the hockey world collectively gasped, realizing they had just witnessed the rewriting of sports immortality. Did we ever truly understand the depths of his ambition?